I'm convinced that St. Louis is one of the most underrated and overlooked cities in the country. It not only has a fascinating history as the American gateway to the West, but as a modern city, it has a lot more to offer than I had initially expected. In this series, I briefly cover a city's history, population, skyline, as well as a few things that make the city unique. Now let's meet St. Louis. St. Louis is located just south of the confluence of America's two mightiest rivers, the Mississippi and the Missouri. The area had long been important to the Mississippian mound builder culture, which I'll talk more about later in the video. St. Louis itself was founded in 1764 by French fur traders. Its location made it a vital trading post in the early years of American expansion. When the United States purchased the Louisiana Territory from France in 1803, St. Louis became a major hub for westward exploration and trade, earning it the nickname Gateway to the West. The city's importance grew further just a year later when Lewis and Clark launched their famous expedition from St. Louis. In the late 19th century, St. Louis became the fourth largest city in the United States and played a key role in trade, particularly through its bustling river port and later its railroads. By 1904, St. Louis had gained international attention as the host of both the World's Fair and the Summer Olympics. Today, St. Louis has a city proper population of around 281,000, making it the 76th largest city in the country. When comparing to other cities' metro populations, St. Louis would be ranked as the 23rd largest metro in the country, falling between Charlotte, North Carolina, and San Antonio, Texas. This is a good example of why I think metro population is a better indicator of a city's true size. St. Louis is home to several recognizable companies, including Anheuser-Busch, Famous Footwear, Enterprise, Build-A-Bear, Energizer, Emerson Electric, and Edward Jones. There are nearly 30 colleges and universities in the St. Louis metro, some of the most notable being St. Louis University, Washington University, and the University of Missouri, St. Louis. Call me shallow, but when it comes to cities, I think appearances matter. St. Louis's skyline is certainly one of the most unique skylines in the country, if not the world. Before I start talking about the buildings themselves, I need to highlight the structure that makes the St. Louis skyline immediately recognizable: the Gateway Arch. The stainless steel Gateway Arch, which was completed in 1965, is the tallest structure in the city at 630 feet or 192 meters. This also makes it the world's tallest arch and the tallest monument in the Western Hemisphere, even towering over the Washington Monument in DC. One of the surprising features of the arch is the fact that there is an observation deck at the top, which can be accessed by taking a tram up one of the legs of the arch. The Gateway Arch is clearly one of the most iconic structures in the whole country. But outside of that, the St. Louis skyline leaves something to be desired. If you took the average height of the tallest 5 buildings in the city, St. Louis would be ranked as the 29th tallest skyline in the country, falling short of its rival Missouri city of Kansas City and just shorter than Cincinnati, but being taller than Fort Worth, Texas. The tallest building in the city is the One Metropolitan Square at 593 feet. My favorite skyscraper in the skyline, however, is the neo-Gothic Southwestern Bell Building. Although the Gateway Arch is without question the most impressive landmark in St. Louis, it's certainly not the only thing that makes the city unique. Many of St. Louis's attractions are located in what is considered the heart of the city, Forest Park. Forest Park itself is truly incredible and is considered one of, if not the best urban park in the country. At 1,300 acres, it's about 500 acres larger than Central Park in New York City. But it's not just its size that makes it such an impressive park, it's how many different landmarks and attractions are within its 1,300 acres. Forest Park was the main fairgrounds for the 1904 World's Fair, and the city has maintained some of those structures, including the World's Fair Pavilion and the beautiful St. Louis Art Museum. SLAM, as the art museum is nicknamed, houses over 36,000 objects spanning 5,000 years of history. The St. Louis Art Museum is far from the only museum within Forest Park. There is also the Missouri History Museum, which is also in a historic building that was built as the first national monument to Thomas Jefferson. There is also the St. Louis Science Center, which is connected to the park and is one of the largest science museums in the country at 300,000 square feet. The most eye-catching museum is the large McDonnell Planetarium, which with an 80-foot-long diameter is still one of the largest planetariums in the country. Another unique structure within the park is the Jewel Box. As those familiar with my channel will know, I'm a big fan of Art Deco architecture, so I love the look of this greenhouse. I should also mention that the St. Louis Zoo is within Forest Park. One of the amazing things about Forest Park is that all of these cultural institutions that I've mentioned are free. The last thing I'll mention about Forest Park before moving on to other aspects of St. Louis is the Muni Theater. Located in the center of the park, the Muni Theater is the oldest and largest outdoor music theater in the country. While on the topic of theaters, I should mention the Fabulous Fox Theater. The Fabulous Fox Theater was originally an old movie palace and now hosts Broadway performances among other shows. Outside of the Gateway Arch, the place that is perhaps the most unique in St. Louis is the eclectic City Museum. There isn't anything quite like this place in the world. It's located in and around an old International Shoe building, and the artistic features are largely made up from reused objects. It's been described as an all-ages architectural playground full of secret passages and slides. On the other side of the river from St. Louis is the Lewis and Clark Confluence Tower, which gives you a view of one of the most significant river confluences in the world, as the Mississippi and the Missouri rivers become one. Near the tower is the Lewis and Clark Historic Site, where they have reconstructed the camp where Lewis and Clark prepared for their journey. Another fascinating historical landmark on the Illinois side of the river is the Cahokia Mound State Park, which is only about 10 miles from downtown St. Louis. The Cahokia Mounds are the largest archaeological site north of the Mayan and Aztec cities in Mexico. It's one of only 25 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the United States. Another unique tower in St. Louis is the Compton Hill Water Tower. I love the look of this tower. It's one of only several standpipe water towers left in the country and is on the National Register of Historic Places. Now, there are 90,000 places in the country listed on that National Register of Historic Places, but only 3% of those are considered National Historic Landmarks. One of these National Historic Landmarks is the massive Union Station in St. Louis. When Union Station was completed in 1894, it was the largest and busiest train station in the world. Union Station has a breathtaking grand hall, but St. Louis actually has a building with a room even more impressive, and that is the Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis. The Basilica has the largest mosaic collection in the world outside of Russia. The mosaics cover 83,000 square feet and are made up of over 41 million pieces, which is mind-boggling to me. Another large, interesting building is the Climatron in the Missouri Botanical Garden. It was the first air-conditioned greenhouse and the first plexiglass geodesic dome in the world. It's been named one of the 100 most significant architectural achievements in U.S. history. The Botanical Gardens have the second largest collection of plant species in North America, only trailing New York City's Botanical Garden. I know I've been talking a lot about St. Louis buildings, but another significant building that I have to mention in this video is the Old Courthouse. It was the site of the famous Dred Scott case, where Dred and Harriet Scott sued for their freedom. The case was one of the events that helped bring about the Civil War, which makes it one of the most important court cases in the history of the country. The Old Courthouse is located in the Gateway Arch National Park, and about a mile south of the arch along the river is another unique St. Louis landmark, the Mural Mile. It's a large flood wall that has been painted by graffiti artists since 1997 as part of an event called Paint Louis. The last thing that I'll mention in this video is that St. Louis has historically been a big sports city and is home to the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have won 11 World Series titles, which is more than any team in professional baseball other than the Yankees. They play in Busch Stadium, which is one of the better downtown stadiums in the country. Well, that does it for my video of St. Louis. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.